Hello, welcome to another edition of the Pace Report. I'm Brian, Pace reporting live here at Dizzy's Club Coca-Cola, here at Jazz at Lincoln Center, here in New York City. Trumpeter, composer, educator Etienne Charles tonight is performing selections off his brand new CD, which is really in the rich tradition of calypso music. Tonight he's going to play selections off the brand new CD, but also he's going to pay tribute and homage to not only his roots and his heritage, but also the legends of jazz and the jazz tradition. Kaiso, the last time we talked, you were going in a whole nother direction musically, because the first two projects were pretty much your own originals, but now you decided to go home and pay tribute to a lot of musicians from your homeland of Tobago and Trinidad.
Exactly. Kaiso is about paying homage to the legends of the calypso genre and that style and that energy of connecting with the audience and making the lyrics tell a story and notify the people of what's going on, and it still enlighten them musically. So that was the idea behind Kaiso.
Tell me about the origins of some of these artists, because these are great names in your country, but here in the United States, maybe with the exception of maybe Miami and the East Coast, a lot of these guys haven't heard these guys' music.
Well, you know, it's funny because calypso was very popular in the United States in the 50s and in the early 60s and in the 40s and in the 30s. Because you talk about people like the Roaring Lion. Roaring Lion performed for President Roosevelt, the Waldorf Astoria in like 1932. You know, and the audience was requested by President Roosevelt because Roaring Lion was playing at the Village Vanguard at the time for 6 months. You know, he was a movie star in L.A., you know, in a great movie called Ugly Woman. Sparrow is the great Mighty Sparrow. He's known as the Calypso King of the world. So they're revered in certain circles. It's a lot less mainstream now than it was then. So my job with this record was to bring that music to a new world, and the world is jazz, which is our world, where we swing, we groove, we blues, we reharmonize, we interact on a different level. So that's what it's really about, bringing the two different worlds together. But a lot of calypsos had jazz in them. Or there was always a solo, there was always a trumpet solo, there was always a saxophone solo, a guitar solo, a piano solo in between. And so in doing research for this record, it was a great discovery for me, seeing how much the Calypsonians were all about jazz and how much jazz musicians were playing calypsos back in the day. So like I got a recording of Charlie Parker playing Sly Mongoose, and Sonny Rollins, of course, with St. Thomas. The Basie Band used to close their show every night with Don't Stop the Carnival, just things like that. And so I thought I was doing something new, but it wasn't. I was just doing what's the logical thing to do with what you find when you find a good melody.
I love my tape. Everyone is murder. Everyone is murder.
this album also has a lot of personnel on here. I mean, you have some very special guests on here. I mean, from Monty Alexander to the legendary Ralph McDonald. I mean, and then there's orchestration on this record too. You went way out on this.
Yeah, I wanted to really show all of the different aspects of what a calypso melody can do. You know, based on the contours of it. They're very singable. And once something's singable, it's so easy to make even the most outrageous of reharmonizations work, because that melody is there for you. It's like, it's the rock. You know, it keeps you grounded. And so, and also I didn't just want to do a, you know, calypso record where we do the pina colada calypsos that everybody, you know, I wanted to break away from the stereotype of what people think calypso is about. And I wanted to show that these men were great, these men and women were great musicians. They were great composers. They were great lyricists. And a lot of the times they did it on the fly. You know, they would make up songs on the fly.
Explain briefly, what is calypso music?
So calypso, Kaiso and calypso, they come from the West African diaspora in the Caribbean. They started out in Trinidad, and it comes from the call and response idiom, which is very similar to the gospel church in the United States of America. And the call and response idiom is someone will sing a group will sing a live way, or the chantuel, who's the lead singer, which would be like the preacher. The lead singer will start a live way for everybody to continue singing, and then from that he will sing off of it, and he will normally improvise his lyrics and his melody off of what they were singing. So an example would be like the live way would be Juve Bawe yo pa leve lame, and now I'll be the chantuel. I tell you a story you do not know is about carnival and calypso. Juve Bawe yo pa leve lame la si yo and ningy 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 she back, and they make up the lyrics on the spot. So that's the basis of calypso. From that, people started writing songs. The songs were to notify people what was going on. So, because after slavery was abolished, not many of the slaves were literate, but the calypsonians were always literate, so they knew what was going on. And what they would do is they would make a song to notify the public of what was happening. And that's how the communication happened. So even though the English banned the drumming in Trinidad, which was our main source of communication at that time, we still had these songs to get information about which plantations were going to close down, you know, who was getting married. I mean, the topics are universal.
Congratulations. You are the assistant professor of trumpet studies at Michigan State University. How did this come about?
Oh man, that's a funny story. They reached out to me, Professor Rodney Whitaker said they were doing a search, and so I submitted my application. They brought me in for an interview, and they were like, "We would like for you to come teach jazz trumpet here," and I was like, "Really? Me? Okay." And it's been a fun 2 years. I've learned so much. I mean, when you're teaching, you learn. You gather so much information that you were supposed to gather in college, but you were busy either practicing or partying or whatever. So now I'm gathering all this information that I have the pleasure of getting to process and work with my students on, getting to practice a lot, work with some great young musicians. I mean, the Michigan State Jazz program is one of the top-notch programs now. And Rodney Whitaker is a fabulous director, and he's a great musician. And the whole faculty, Diego Rivera, Randy Gillespie, Reginald Thomas, you know, it's just fun people to play with, and fun people to work with. And it's a good vibe, you know, it's like a family. It's very home vibe. You know, we're all warm. You know, we all go to each other's houses. We play. We work with the students. We get to travel. It's fun. It's definitely it's challenging, simply from the fact that it's always about pushing yourself to be the best. Always. And so I enjoy that. I enjoy challenges. I enjoy always having to step a notch up.
What does jazz music mean to you?
To me, jazz is a name. To me, jazz is simply a way of identifying certain things that are actually unknown to us. Because what we do when we play jazz is we combine the unknown with the known. Because we go to completely new places each time we play. And sometimes it's understood and sometimes it's not. And it's a complete union of the new world. In my opinion, it's a union of the new world with the old world, in terms of the European influence on the music, the African influence on the music, and then the African influence based on the diaspora with respect to the Caribbean, with respect to the south of the United States, with respect to the north of the United States, with respect to the church, with respect to Central America. I mean, the Mexican influence on jazz, the early jazz, is so powerful. With respect to South America later on in the 50s with the Bossa Nova movement and stuff. So it's a definite melee. It's a big gumbo of all the different things we have with the new world. And now it's continuing. We have musicians that play with hip hop. I have so much fun playing with hip hop musicians. I was just playing with DJ, having fun playing jam sessions with DJ Logic in Europe this past couple of days, you know, and fusing hip hop and all of the new styles, rock and roll, and you know, different types of rock, heavy metal, all these things that are coming into the music that are completely fueling new ideas. So it's an all-encompassing music, but to me, at the core, jazz is the name for it, because there's so many unknown parameters to what make jazz what it is, as well as so many known parameters. But to me, that's why I love it, because there's so many things we don't know. You know, why did Louis Armstrong play the way he played? Why did Buddy Bolden start improvising like that? You know, why did Marcus Miller write Tutu like that? You know, it's just like all these things, all these questions. You know, what hit people, and that's what makes the music beautiful, is what we don't know.
That'll do it again for another edition of the Pace Report, reporting live here at Dizzy's Club Coca-Cola here at Jazz at Lincoln Center here in New York City. I'd like to personally thank Etienne Charles for his time, as well as the staff and management here at Dizzy's. As always, please visit my website, www.thepacereport.com, for my weekly column as well as my past segments. Until next time, remember, if it's in the groove, it'll make you move. Until next time, peace.